Hey everybody, Kennedy Carter here. So, today we're going to be talking about what exactly a media buyer is, or in other words, how to put on the marketing hat. So, for the most part, everybody knows what a marketer does. They get the name out there, they expose the business to the right people, or not so right people, depending on exactly what you're doing. But specifically, a media buyer is going to be someone who is buying the spot in a newspaper, online, a billboard, etc., to grab the attention of your potential clients. And I also want to touch on a little bit of this is going to go through for those who are doing advertising to try to get a flow, if you don't have one already, of how to go through your entire process of putting together a campaign. And for the business owner to understand that this isn't a simple task that you can just give somebody that they can do part-time, or that you can try to do yourself if you have a lot to do yourself as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is a media buyer? Like I said, they buy attention. Primarily, it's going to be on different mediums, but primarily online nowadays. That is where most of the attention lies. You're looking at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. They have millions of users every single day, averaging at least 30 to, I believe, an hour every single day. So it's very vital for people to market in these areas at the moment if you want to really strive and grow. I know, like, word of mouth and billboards, those are still really useful ways of advertising, but they're not as efficient as online advertising is. So we also make the ads relatable to the intended audience. We just don't put an ad out there or an offer that you have, but we actually take the time to figure it out, what it is that you have, how to make it relatable. So then it's just that more easier for that potential client to say, you know, I think I'm going to give this business a chance, and reaching the max amount of people for the lowest cost. So unlike a billboard nowadays, those are kind of going down in price actually, but they're still pretty expensive compared to online advertising. It's hitting a max amount of people, definitely, but it's not at the lowest cost, especially if we're coming from a targeted standpoint. A lot of those people who see ads sometimes aren't even interested in that offer at all. So we want to reach that max amount of people who are interested, so then that way our cost on the back end is a lot cheaper. Couple of side things. This is very time consuming. Again, for the business owner who thinks that this can just be a part-time thing, it definitely can't be. In order for this to be successful, somebody has to be on this constantly. And it's the life of the business. Everybody knows that marketing is the life of the business. Without any type of marketing, you wouldn't have anything going on. So, mind cleanup. Gonna be starting out with trying to get the mind in the right position for the rest of the kind of figuring out the campaign and everything. So just clear the mind, unwind. Don't really worry about too many other things. A couple of exercises that can help out with this is meditating. Just take 5 or 10 minutes to meditate. Another could just be sitting down, reading a book for a little while. Just trying to declutter the mind and get it kind of focused in one area. So there's never a failed ad. So for those who have tried Facebook advertising and they say, oh, it doesn't work, that is not true. So the thing is, the reason why there's never a failed ad is because even if the ad hadn't performed the way that you wanted it to, there's still valuable information that the ad has to offer. So looking at the actual stats of everything, you could tell, oh, if my clicks are too high, if the cost per click is too high and they're not supposed to be, maybe it's my targeting. Maybe I'm targeting the wrong person. Maybe it's the message. Maybe it's even the actual picture or video that you have sending to a specific audience. And based off of that, you're able to actually look at all the stats and try to figure out and make adjustments as you go to make a more successful ad. Don't stress about the money too much as well. So it's pretty hard to do, but knowing that there's never a failed ad, and if you're actually on top of everything and trying to figure out how to make it work, the money is going to come back. Good marketing makes more money. You don't spend money, you make money doing marketing. And then decide what success is for you. So is that a high view count on the page? Is that an actual purchase? Is that lead gen coming through? What is that success metric for you to actually really determine how well a given ad is doing? So, what are you advertising? So, you have to determine these. You have to determine what the message is, who the person is, what is your product and your service. Once you determine these, then you can move on to the next step. But if you don't know exactly who it is that you're targeting, for example, I'm not saying people who are 18 to 24 who have just went off to college, or people 40 who have kids. Those are good targeting metrics to use in some situations, but you want to go broader than that sometimes, especially depending on the product or service. So for an example, that would be gyms. If you are a gym, of course you can just target very broadly to those people, but you want to be specific to, do they already work out? Do they like fitness brands already? Do they follow stuff like that? Do they buy from Onnit? Like stuff like that. You want to be a little bit more in detail sometimes than just putting your marker on a zip code and then letting it be. And then also be very solid on your product or service. You want to be able to explain what you do very simply, very easily, and very fast. A lot of people kind of really get caught up in the details, and they get really romantic about what they do. And most people really don't care. Even if they do, a lot of that stuff go right through one ear and through the other. But you can really capture somebody's attention just by blatantly saying what it is that you do. So, for example, for me, I help businesses get more customers online. If they ask more questions, then I go into more detail. But it's as simple as that. Okay, get into the mind of the buyer. So who exactly is the buyer? I touched on this a little bit. You have to think like them. So what do they like? Who do they like? Who do they follow? What do they buy? What do they have? And what do they like to do? And there's so many whats and who's and how's that go into this. And all this information is out there, either through, you can use Google search simply for that. You can use the back end of Facebook on Audience Insights to do this. What I usually do is just compile a huge list, and especially if I'm working in a given area code, I'll just narrow that area code down and save all of the numbers. So for example, I know like 100, no, probably a lot more, like I think like 7,000 people or something like that. 100,000 people like Nike in the area. So that's something that's super broad. Not somebody specifically would like Nike, since that's such a well-known brand. But it's good to actually know who the buyer is. So, for example, if I do have a shoe company, I could say, okay, people who like good-looking shoes are buying from Adidas, Nike, or sports shoes, and etc. I'm able to take all these numbers down and use that as an audience. So, why should they even care in the first place? You need to determine why your customer should even care about your product or service. This goes along with also, as well as what is your product or service, but going a little bit deeper into what does it actually do for your customer? What value does it have? And more importantly, how does it affect their life? if you can touch on that, if you can get really personal into the point of, hey, this is going to save you time. This is going to save you money and time. This is just going to make your day-to-day life easier, make you feel happier, or whatever it may be. If you can really determine that, then it's really hard to fail as far as really getting eyes towards the advertisement. So you have to then, after that, decide how the message is presented. So this is going to be through the ad copy and creative. So for those who don't know what ad copy and creative is, that is what the ad actually is. So the ad copy is going to be all the wording and everything that's in it. And then the creative is either your slideshow, picture, video, audio, etc. And using how to using our last step on why should they care, implement that heavily into these. And that's just pretty much like the storytelling part of it all, and really trying to get at the heart of the customer to get them to buy. So do the work and launch. So pretty much we're just going to compile everything that is talked about. You're going to do your market research. You're going to actually figure out what it is that you do and offer, make it a compelling offer. And after that, after you get everything put together and an ad ready, you launch it. So once it's launched, you're not finished though. You need to always analyze your results on a daily basis. Now, on average, it can take anywhere between 3 to 5 days or a week for Facebook, or depending on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, to really get you those really solid results to see how things are going to be going. After you see that, if your success metric isn't exactly what it is, iterate. Always make changes and always make different versions as well to test side by side. Unless you don't have the ad budget for it, you don't most of the time want to just run one ad and wait for that. We want to do 2, 4, 6, etc. to see which one is beating out which one isn't going to work, and which one is going to work, might need some work. Exactly. So after you iterate, we're going to collaborate. So what this really means is if you have any other people who are working with you, see what they think. Or the business owner that you're working with, see what they think. Talk to them and see how things have been going, how the results have been, if anybody's been calling in, or if they've been getting more people, stuff like that. Just get some outside input besides your own. And then next step is just keep moving forward. So it's a lot of just rinse and repeat at that point until you find that quote-unquote winning ad that it does exist, that you can just turn on for a week, a month, or months, and you're good to go. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Again, as you can tell from the whole explanation of everything that I had here, it is very time intensive, and a lot of thought really goes into creating that perfect offer ad. So thanks for checking me out. If you are already an advertiser, I hope this helped you. And if you are a business owner, I hope this helped you see exactly the whole entire process, or a short process basically, and how everything is done. So my name's Kennedy. Thanks for checking me out, and I'll see you in the next one.